Hi everyone. Today we will be seeing the demo of Mike DocuSieve. Mike DocuSieve is a Microsoft Word add-in created by Mike Legal to help you reduce the time and increase efficiency to proofread contracts and agreements. In order to install Mike DocuSieve, all you have to do is click on Insert, click on Get Add-in, and here you can simply search for Mike DocuSieve and start using it. So within few minutes, you can start using Mike DocuSieve. Now, for Mike DocuSieve, we basically emphasize that you should be using it ideally on contracts and agreements. However, even if you're using it on due diligence reports or article of association, the system will tell you about the proofreading errors. However, the ideal case will remain the contracts and the agreements. Now, in order to help you proofread, we have basically taken multiple components like definitions, clause reference, amounts and numbers, dates, placeholder, and punctuation. In each of the components, there are a bunch of things that we are doing. To begin with, in definitions, the first component that we have is the defined terms. Now, in the defined terms, we basically help you identify and list down all the defined terms that exist in your contract. This may be in the definition clause or even in inline definitions. Everything gets captured by Mike Legal and arranged in alphabetical order. Now, to take a step further, you can not just go to the use case or where you have defined it, but you can even go to where all you have used that particular definition. Moreover, in case you want to identify whether there is a particular term that you have defined or not, you can easily search for that defined definition. So here, if you will search capital, you will see all the definitions, including capital in it. Then we have undefined terms. Now, in case in the agreement, Mike DocuSieve identifies that you have used a particular term in a title case, but have not defined it anywhere. So the system will basically point out those terms to you. And it will not just allow you to go to that particular thing. Again, it will even tell you how many times it has been used. And you can go to each of that particular use case and decide whether you want to define that particular term or change it to the lowercase. Moving on to the next component, we have duplicate definitions. Now, from the interpretation perspective, this plays a very important role, primarily because we show you if you have defined a particular term more than once, our system can help you identify those defined terms and ensure that the definition is in sync to each other. Then we even tell you about the unused definitions. That means if you have defined a particular term but have not used it anywhere in the agreement, in the title case, the system is going to list down here with ease. Moving on to the last component that we have, which is inconsistent definition. Now, in case you have defined a particular term, but you have used that particular term in the lower case, so the system will tell you where all you have used it so that you can basically go there and change it to the title case if required. So this is basically what we have done in the definitions part. The next heading that we have is the clause reference. Now, clause reference is one of the biggest pain point when you're drafting or when you're proofreading the agreement, because during the negotiation, you tend to add certain clauses or delete certain clauses. Now, this, if you're not making reference or if you're not rectifying that particular reference there and there itself, later on, you might miss out on it. Here, we simplify the task. We tell you about all the incorrect clause references. Like in case here, if you see, acceptance notice shall have the meaning ascribed to it in clause 3.1. Here, Mike DocuSieve feels that it should be clause 4.2. So if we will basically go to that particular clause, we can see that actually 3.1 is about incorporation of the company. However, 4.2 talks about acceptance notice, which means that actually here with the acceptance notice, it should be clause 4.2. Now, just by a single click, you can make that change. Moving on, we even tell you missing clause reference. So in case system is not able to identify a particular clause, it notifies that that particular clause is missing. So here, 9.5 is the last clause in clause 9, which means 9.6 is missing. And here easily the system was able to take you to that particular instance. Going a step further, what we have done is we even give you all the references that you have made, where you can go to that each reference and click on C clause to see the relevant clause. So rather than you continuously scrolling down and coming back to the reference, here with convenience, you can see the referred clause there itself, which in turn is going to save you a lot of your time. Now, only thing to remember when you're using the clause reference on Mike DocuSieve is that in case the document that you're referring to has track changes, then there might be certain issues with respect to the go-to or correctly identifying the references. That is primarily because when you're making those changes, the deleted text still stays there in the document. And that is why you might have issues specifically to the clause reference. However, for the other components, the system is completely fine. Moving on to the next component that we have, which is amounts and numbers. In amounts, we basically capture all the amounts that you have mentioned. Now, this is extremely important because when you are finalizing the agreement, you want to go through the amounts that you have put in. So easily, you can simply, like with a single click, you can go to those amounts. Furthermore, system even tells you what is the comma system that you're using, what is the currency in numbers, and what is currency in words. So this ensures that everything stays consistent. And in case there is any deviation, system basically points out and give you a recommendation. Like here, you can see that rather than INR, the system has used, you have used rupees. And even there is an error in the amount in words because this is 72 crores, whereas here it is written Indian rupees 70 crores. So now the system has pointed out it should be INR 72 crores, and in words, it should be Indian rupees 72 crores. You click on apply, and that change gets implemented over here. Then, even in numbers, we tell you all the numbers that you have added. And in case there is any deviation, or if you have missed out on writing that particular number in words, the system is going to help you with that. So just in a single click, again, you can basically make that change. Then the next component that we have is dates. Now in dates, we again basically tell you what is the global format that you're using throughout the agreement. Go to each of the date that you have used. And we even tell you whether that particular date falls on a weekday or a weekend. Now, this is an extremely critical piece of information because at times you want to ensure that that date falls on a weekday, primarily because a particular activity will be attached to it. In case there is any deviation from the standard format, the system recommends you to basically click and change that particular date format. Throughout the document, throughout the Mike DocuSieve, we've basically kept the interface in such a manner that first you're able to absorb the information faster. And in case you want to make that change or choose not to make that change, that barely takes a second to decide. So this is where, with this interface, you will be able to save a lot of your time. Moving on to the next component, which is placeholder. In placeholders, we tell you about all the placeholders that you have put in the agreement, be it underscores, be it ellipses, be it square brackets, blobs, or even angular bracket. Everything system captures and notifies you about. So when you are finalizing the agreement, you can be sure that there is no placeholder left. Moreover, we even tell you if there is any highlighted text present in the agreement. So when you're finalizing it, or if you've highlighted a particular text for your internal discussions, when you're sending it out or when you're finalizing the agreement, you can be sure that there is no highlighted text remaining in the agreement. Then the last component that we have is the punctuation. In the punctuations, there are a bunch of things that we're doing. The first and foremost is the formatting inconsistency, where if there are multiple commas, if there is an extra space, if you have opened a parenthesis, but you forgot to close it, all of that the system is able to identify and give and help you in rectifying those errors. Then we even tell you about the grammatical inconsistencies. So here, as you can see, the statement is or any its affiliate, but the system feels that either it should be or any affiliate, or it should be or its affiliate. You can select whichever one you want to apply, click on apply, and that change is made. Then we even tell you about language inconsistency. So in case the system identifies any deviation from the British English, it basically gives you an understanding. It gives you a recommendation with the change spelling or the change term. So like here you can see, your licenses with a C rather than with an F. So the system is giving you a recommendation there. Then you even have language redundancy. So in case you're using a super close language, basically system recommends you a better way of writing it. So here you can see that earlier it was written listing of any of the shares. The system is basically giving you listing of the shares, and you can click on apply to make that particular change. Moving on to the last part, which is quotes. In quotes, basically we help you in structuring or to ensuring that throughout you're using consistent code system. So here you can see that intellectual property, there is a starting code, but even in the end, there is a starting. There is ideally it should be starting code and a closing code. So if you click on apply, that change will be made automatically. So this is how basically system is going to help you in creating more error-free documents and consistent documents so that whenever you're sending it out, it's accurate and precise. We have even provided you with the FAQ, live chat option, and a tool option to basically help you when you're using the software. In order to promote active proofreading, we have created a sync now button. So whenever you make any change in the document and you feel that, okay, I need to proofread the document again from the scratch, you can simply click on sync now, so that system will basically reanalyze the document and give you will remove the errors if you have fixed it, or if new error has popped in, the system will point out those errors to you. So this is all about Mike DocuSieve here. If you have any doubts, you can reach out to us on our. You can reach out to us.